A very good afternoon to all my dear students. Hope every one of you is doing well at home. Let's continue with the explanation of The Adventures of Toto, where we are reading about a mischievous monkey named Toto. Look into your book, page 8, para 5. The poor man was taken aback, but with great presence of mind and much to grandfather's annoyance, he said, "Sir, you have a dog with you? You will have to pay for it accordingly." In vain did grandfather take Toto out of the bag. In vain did he try to prove that a monkey did not qualify as a dog or even as a quadruped. Toto was classified a dog by the ticket collector, and 3 rupees was the sum handed over as his fare. Then grandfather, just to get his own back, took from his pocket our pet tortoise and said, "What must I pay for this, since you charge for all animals?" The ticket collector looked closely at the tortoise, prodded it with his forefinger, gave grandfather a pleased and triumphant look, and said, "No charge. It is not a dog." The author here says, as soon as Toto popped his head out and grinned, showing his white teeth, the ticket collector got a big shock. The ticket collector got surprised. Then, using his presence of mind, "Who is this poor man over here?" The poor man is the ticket collector. Showing his presence of mind, he asked grandfather if he had a dog with him. Grandfather was a bit annoyed at hearing this. Grandfather got angry at this. The ticket collector told him that he would have to pay for the dog. Grandfather tried his best to prove to him that a monkey could not be called a dog. He pulled out Toto from the bag to prove that a monkey in no way was similar to a dog or even as a quadruped. The ticket collector classified him as a dog ultimately and charged grandfather 3 rupees. Grandfather was very angry at this and pulled out the pet tortoise from his pocket and asked what he should pay for it, since he was supposed to charge for all animals. The ticket collector examined the tortoise closely, felt it with his forefinger, and gave grandfather a triumphant look and said, "No charge, sir. It is not a dog." In the next para, page 9, when Toto was finally accepted by grandmother, he was given a comfortable home in the stable, where he had for a companion the family donkey Nana. On Toto's first night in the stable, grandfather paid him a visit to see if he was comfortable. To his surprise, he found Nana without apparent cause, pulling at her halter and trying to keep her head as far as possible from a bundle of hay. Grandfather gave Nana a slap across his haunches, and she jogged back, dragging Toto with her. He had fastened onto her long ears with his sharp little teeth. Toto and Nana never became friends. A great treat for Toto during cold winter evenings was the large bowl of warm water given him by grandmother for his bath. He would cunningly test the temperature with his hand, then gradually step into the bath, first one foot, then the other, as he had seen me doing, until he was into the water up to his neck. The writer tells after some days, grandmother accepted the idea of keeping Toto. Okay. He was then kept in the stable where a donkey, Nana, was already kept. On his first night at the stable, grandfather made a visit to the stable to see. Grandfather went to the stable to see whether Toto was behaving well, whether he was comfortable. Grandfather was surprised to see that Nana, without any clear reason, was pulling at her halter. Halter means the rope with which we tie the animal, and trying to keep her head as far as possible from the bundle of hay. Hay means fodder. Fodder. Fodder is the food of animal. Grandfather gave a slap to the donkey on her haunches, and she jumped back, dragging Toto with her. Toto had fastened onto the donkey's long ears with his sharp teeth. The two could never become friends. Now the author tells Toto would get a special treatment during the cold winter evenings. He would get a large bowl full of warm water for his bath. Toto was clever enough to first test the temperature of the water with his hand, then step into the bath by putting one foot first and then the other, just as he had observed the author doing until he was into the water up to his neck. On page 10, once comfortable, he would take the soap in his hands or feet and rub himself all over. When the water became cold, he would get out and run as quickly as he could to the kitchen fire in order to dry himself. If anyone laughed at him during this performance, Toto's feelings would be hurt, and he would refuse to go on with his bath. One day, Toto nearly succeeded in boiling himself alive. A large kitchen kettle had been left on the fire to boil for tea, and Toto, finding himself with nothing better to do, decided to remove the lid. Finding the water just warm enough for a bath, he got in, with his head sticking out from the open kettle. This was just fine for a while, until the water began to boil. Toto then raised himself a little, but finding it cold outside, sat down again. He continued hopping up and down for some time, until grandmother arrived and hauled him half boiled out of the kettle. If there is a part of the brain specially devoted to mischief, that part was largely developed in Toto. He was always tearing things to pieces. Whenever one of my aunts came near him, he made every effort to get hold of her dress and tear a hole in it. Kept on telling us about the Toto's activity, the author says, once Toto was comfortable in the bath, he would take some soap in his hands and rub it all over himself like we people do, and came out once the water became cold. He would then run as fast as possible to the kitchen fire in order to dry himself. He felt hurt if anyone laughed at him and would refuse to take bath next time. One day an accident befell Toto. An accident occurred with Toto. He would have almost burnt himself had grandmother not seen him on time. A large kettle was left on the fire to boil water for tea. Toto thought of removing the lid and testing the water. He found the water warm enough for his bathing, so he removed the lid. He got into the kettle with just his head keeping out. It was all very fine for some time, but as soon as the water began to boil, Toto wanted to come out. But when he realized that it was cold outside, he would sit down again inside. He continued hopping up and down for some time. Till grandmother arrived, she saw him and pulled a half-boiled Toto out of the kettle. The author makes a special comment here for Toto that if there was any part of the brain given to creating mischief, that part had been completely developed in Toto. That's why he was so naughty. He was always tearing things to pieces. Whenever one of the aunts of the author came near him, he made every possible effort to hold her dress and tear a hole in it. In the second last paragraph, the author writes, one day at lunchtime, a large dish of pulao stood in the center of the dining table. We entered the room to find Toto stuffing himself with rice. My grandmother screamed, and Toto threw a plate at her. One of my aunts rushed forward and received a glass of water in the face. When grandfather arrived, Toto picked up the dish of pulao and made his exit through a window. We found him in the branches of the jackfruit tree, the dish still in his hands, in his arms. He remained there all afternoon, eating slowly through the rice, determined on finishing every grain, and then, in order to spite grandmother who had screamed at him, he threw the dish down from the tree and chattered with delight when it broke into 100 pieces. Obviously, Toto was not the sort of pet we could keep for long. Even grandfather realized that we were not well to do and could not afford the frequent loss of dishes, clothes, curtains, and wallpaper. So, grandfather found the Tonga driver and sold Toto back to him for only 3 rupees. Kept on telling us about Toto's different activities, the author tells one more incident to us. The author says that one day a large dish of rice in form of pulao was cooked and kept in the center of the dining table. When the family entered the room to have lunch, they found Toto already there, stuffing himself with the rice. They found Toto already there on the table, eating rice. Grandmother screamed in anger, and Toto threw a plate at her. When one of the author's aunts stepped forward, he threw water that was in the glass at her face. When he saw grandfather entering, he picked up the entire rice dish and jumped out of the window. Later, they found him sitting on the jackfruit tree with the dish in his arms. He stayed there the whole afternoon, eating the rice slowly through the day, determined to finish all the rice. After finishing the rice, as if to take out his revenge against grandmother because she was having screamed at him, he threw the dish down from the tree. It broke into 100 pieces, and Toto then gave out a happy sound, a happy chattering sound. Chatter is the sound created by monkeys. By now, everybody, including grandfather, had realized that Toto could not be kept as a pet for too long. Obviously, the family could not afford to go on suffering such losses, to continue with such losses. Why the family was not able to afford such losses? Because they were not rich. Grandfather then decided to return him to the Tonga driver from where he had bought it. He sold him back for 3 rupees. So, with this final statement, the story ends here. After reading the whole story, we can say it was an entertaining one. We have come to know about many incidents created by Toto and the status of the author's family. This is for the day done. Thank you. Please read the lesson very carefully. In the next class, we are going to have a discussion for the question answers. All the best. Good day.